is the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans by the fans, with Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, and Jason Eidsmoe. We're talking Padres, Chargers, and Aztec sports.
Got to hit it to the right place. And he hits it out to center. Right center. Blackman's got a long way to go. He's still going.
Off the wall.
And it is off the wall. It takes a funny hop. Kemp is rounding second. He's heading to third. And Matt Kemp into third base with a triple and the first cycle in the history of the San Diego Padres.
He will hand it off. Tomlinson plows his way towards the goal line. LaDainian Tomlinson, one step closer to football immortality. Tomlinson has tied the single-season record. And the handoff to Tomlinson. Left side, and he will gallop into the end zone. Charger fans are witnesses to history.
Pope thought about it. Now steps up. And the freshman hits the jumper at the buzzer.
Boy, this kid is some prospect. Big time length, big time game.
Pope straight away three. Count it. Malik Pope. Pope off glass and good. On the other end, Joel doesn't miss that one. Shepard alley-oop to Pope. He got up there. Oh, wow.
It's time to let your voice be heard.
All right, it's Wednesday at 7 o'clock. This is the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for the fans.
By the fans.
And much like the Chargers...
By the Wildcat fans.
Oh, stop.
Much like the Chargers, we are finally getting everybody off IR, and we have something special in store. We have a full crew of San Diego Sports Junkies for you today. Joshy, what's up, man?
What's up, guys?
What's happening?
How's Arizona treating you?
Oh, it's fucking freezing. Excuse my language.
It's all right, man. We've never cussed on this show before.
Everybody tell me how hot Arizona is, and maybe it's because we're heading into winter here, but it's freaking cold out here.
Yeah, it's been winter for a while.
We're in the when I leave my house in the morning, it's in the low 40s. I don't know how low it's getting out there.
Yeah, it's chilly.
It's been consistently 30 to 32 degrees leaving work every morning, and I think the warmest it's been in the last week and a half is about 68.
Man, you got your igloo suit on. I like that. You look like the Michelin Man.
It's been just kind of as cold as this the Chargers team's been for the last 6 weeks leading into this last Sunday.
Right.
Yeah. Now with what we said, you're going to be moving to Arizona, and we're going to do everything we can to keep the show the same. And, of course, with our limited budget and limited knowledge, we're still unable to figure out how to keep you on the show for the whole show. So the first 20 minutes is going to be the Josh program. So we're going to go with what Josh wants to talk about. You want to start Padres, Aztecs, or Chargers, Josh? Where you want to go, my friend?
Well, let's just say I'm glad the Chargers finally get a victory.
Yes.
It's been a long time coming. We've had 6 really, really tough weeks as fans to, try to find something positive to talk about. And, we finally eke out a win this last weekend against the lowly Jacksonville Jaguars, who are still in the playoff hunt. Go figure.
Of course.
Now we got the Broncos. You got the Broncos coming to town. Paintless Broncos, but they did just knock off the undefeated New England Patriots, so got to expect that this is going to be a tough task even at home for our San Diego Chargers. But, the thing is, Jason, I actually enjoy the show more now being away from it because I don't get to hear as much San Diego sports news. So I kind of, I'm kind of like some of the other fans out there like Hal and whatnot, listening to you guys picking up on stuff that I don't get to necessarily hear about unless I catch it up on Twitter.
Right.
One thing that Supercharged in the chat room mentions, and that's one of the things that one of the ways I felt too is it was a win, but it was kind of a brutal win. There was some stuff that was frustrating that happened in there. we got it together. We pulled out to a lead, and I was so excited because Jake and I on the pregame show, one of the things I said before we went off the air was, I think the Chargers are going to win double digits.
Right.
And then we went out there and we did what we could to try and get them back in the game. The only way they were going to stay in that game was to block that punt, and that's exactly what they did.
That's what bad teams do, though,
yeah.
and they've been a bad team all year. It was inevitable. Something bad was going to happen in this game.
It was a brutal victory, but it was a victory, and I tell you, I'm going to keep saying this each and every week. As Charger fans, we got to enjoy the victories, man.
Yeah.
We got to enjoy them. We're only going to get a few more weeks of this, and we got to enjoy the victories. Were you happy with the way that game ended, or was it kind of a brutal victory to you too?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't able to watch it because it wasn't televised out here, so it was kind of followed by technology.
I don't know if we can have you on the show anymore, Josh. This is terrible.
That's what I'm saying. This show now, I enjoy it more because I get to catch up on a lot of the opinions of what went down, and the one thing that stood out to me as far as what was most talked about is the play of not only Teo but Perryman in the middle linebacker spots. How do you guys? What's your opinion on their play against the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I'm really happy you brought him up because I've been anybody who's listened to this show all year, I keep saying, let's relax on Perriman. Let's slow our roll on Perriman. I'm coming around, man. I'm really tired of Donald Butler. You and I, Josh, especially, have been huge fans of Teo, and I was really happy with what I saw from Teo. Teo looks fantastic.
They look good as a duo. That was the best game I've seen them play in a long time.
You got one guy that's really, really smart and one guy that can tackle really, really good, and they seem to just that duo of Teo. And I know it's Jacksonville. We can't keep saying it was Jacksonville, so let's stop worrying about that. Let's just enjoy the fact that they won.
Right.
Those two guys looked really, really good. And
I'm impressed with Perriman's run stuffing ability, and it's not just we are so used to, and I know Josh would agree that we are so used to guys missing tackles on this team, and Teo has been hurt, but he at least showed you glimpses that he could be a sure tackler, and to pair him up with Perriman, and I think Donald Butler I heard is only playing about 20% of the snaps, thank God, because he's garbage, and Perriman makes a hit, and they're stuck in the ground. Yeah. There's no getting away. I like that about this youthfulness, and that's something to be encouraged about. I don't know how good they're going to be down the road, but for right now, if they can stay healthy the rest of the year, I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Jason and I, we've been big fans of Teo, even though a lot of people were really down on him early in the year. They were actually calling for Teo to take a seat to Perryman.
Right.
But, I like the way it's played out. I know Teo did miss a couple games there, but he's been our most consistent player on defense, whether people want to believe it or not. I mean, the stats don't lie. He's been leading our team in tackles for most of this year, and he is definitely a quality player that needs to be out there each and every week if this defense is going to be successful.
Yeah, with Teo back for a couple weeks now, and if he can stay healthy, which is unfortunately for him is a big if, I'd love to see them shift the play calling, back to him again. I know he did it a little bit earlier this year. Take that away from Weddle. Let Weddle be back there and worry about being safety, not trying to run the whole defense. Get it back up closer to the line where it belongs. I'd love to see that shifted to Teo. We know that it looks to me like they've pretty much given up on Butler. They've just said, okay, we know what we got. Unfortunately, he's not who we thought he was.
Right.
And they moved on from that, and I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm fine with that.
I am too.
But ultimately, Weddle missed a few tackles. We still had a few tackle issues. We still have some pressure issues.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I was really happy with the way the game finished, and go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm glad they got a win, and I don't want to cut you off, and I know we should be excited for every win, but it was Jacksonville, and I know Jacksonville is a better team, and they beat some decent teams this year. I think they're not terrible, so enjoy it. Let's move on. Hopefully they Hopefully they get another win this week. It would be awesome to beat the Broncos, our arch rivals. Who knows how long this team will be in this town. I wanted to switch gears a little bit, though, and jump into Aztec Hoops because we don't have Josh on as long as we'd like to.
Right.
Maybe just going over past few games. We beat Cal, number 14 in the country. Huge win. And then the next night, obviously fold against a really, really mediocre performance against a West Virginia team that I think is pretty good, not that good.
I think, I don't know. I think West Virginia is extremely underrated. Their press was ridiculous. I mean, they did what the Aztecs do to everybody else.
Wasn't that frustrating being on the other end of that?
Another level,
right?
Yeah, but they took it to another level, guys. I mean, Aztecs press, but they press hard.
They obviously were not ready for that.
They were so smothering. And what's funny to me, and I'm watching the whole game, and I'm thinking, doesn't the Aztecs on the offensive end during practice, don't they face this enough? Don't they know how to get out of this press?
Yeah, they
just struggled all night long, and they couldn't make any adjustments. They could make 0 adjustments the whole game.
Yeah, they look like a JV squad against the varsity, and unfortunately, that was the most frustrating part. Me and Mikey had talked about this over the phone. It was just bad. They weren't ready for it. They were caught off guard for some reason. I don't know why. They knew they were going to press. Maybe it was a lack of, just back-to-back nights playing 2 really crucial ball games. But yeah, it was a terrible performance.
That's one of the few times that I've actually watched. I mean, you see the Aztecs lose, and a lot of times you go, well, they couldn't shoot tonight. Yeah. They couldn't hit their free throws tonight. That's one of the few times me as an outsider, I'm not inside, so I don't see all that stuff, but as an outsider said, they really didn't look prepared,
right?
And I've never been able to say that about Steve Fisher's club, and who knows, maybe he prepared them and they just didn't perform. But
and that's what I would say.
They looked unprepared.
And Darren brings it. D1 teams should be able to get the ball in, and I agree with you, Darren. And I think we all would agree with that. But like Jason just said, I've never seen a Steve Fisher team that unprepared for a ball game.
Right.
Not knowing what the reason was for that. They were smothering, and they kicked our ass from end to end of the court. So, but you live and you learn. You move on. You got that 14th in the nation in your pocket, which is a good thing. You move on to a Long Beach State team last night, Josh. I don't know if you caught the game, everything, all the highlights or whatever. They looked good in the first half. Came out with a lot of energy. I was impressed them being on the road. I know Long Beach State isn't known for their fan support, but what I liked is they showed a little grit in coming back in the second half, and when their toes were to the fire, they really stood up and made a name for themselves and got a victory. It was really nice to see.
Yeah, Long Beach State, I think they're a bubble team.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking ahead, they played a pretty tough schedule, and they're going to continue to play a tough non-conference schedule. I don't know who's number 6 in the nation, but I know that they're on their schedule here in the next couple of weeks. Long Beach State has always played the Aztecs tough,
right?
And I think they're another team that's kind of underrated. They have a lot of talent on their team, a lot of offensive talent on their team. But what surprised me is their defensive play,
right.
And they kind of put the lockdown and put some pressure. They started to put some of that West Virginia type pressure on us in the second half, and the Aztecs struggled again, and that's a concern because these coaches that we're going to be playing down the road, whether it's non-conference or conference play, they're going to be looking at the tapes and seeing that our team struggles against the press, and people are going to keep using it until we can figure out how to beat it.
Yeah,
and until then, I think we're gonna play a lot of tough games until the Aztecs can figure out how to beat that press.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you, Josh. I think they are a tournament team this year. They're that good to me. Moving on, because we're so quick on time, we wanted to get your opinion on the Padres uniforms change. I know you saw them all over Twitter. They came out with three different unis. What were your opinions on the camo and the All-Star edition? And they brought back some brown, so I think it's kind of
okay. So
go ahead.
My question to you, because again, I live in Arizona now, and I don't get to hear as much of the sports news as you could imagine. So are these like our replacement uniforms? These are what they're going to be wearing all year long, or is this just the alternative sets they're going to throw in from time to time?
Those brown unis are for home Friday games, right?
Yeah. Fortunately, they came out with this commemorative. I don't know why. This is the first time a team's ever had a commemorative All-Star jersey. This is supposedly just for the All-Star year, which doesn't make any sense to me. I like them in a way. They're actually pretty cool looking. The camos I like because they're still going to wear their sand as well. It's good to mix both branches of the military in there. Overall, I'm pleased with it. It's something subtle, but needs to be done. I think the Padre Brown needed to be back, and it's popular.
So what you were saying, Jason, is the Browns are going to be worn on Friday. What about the home jerseys?
They're going to be worn on Friday at home.
Friday at home for the white, and then the Browns?
No, the Browns, I think, are Friday home games.
Right.
And then the white ones, I think, are...
We still have our traditional jerseys where they have the blue piped and everything with the blue and the SD.
Gotcha.
So they're keeping all those, but they're adding in these as a mix. So
they're basically playing these uniforms similar to like the Chargers do with their baby blues.
Yes. It's going to be. They're just trying to appease the fans, in my opinion. But I do like the commemorative jerseys. I'm just sad that they're only going to wear them one season. If you're going to make that your sunshine color jersey, then I would say do it full time.
Are they
switching? And you never know because, like you said, the fans have been calling to bring back the Browns for a long time now, and I tend to agree. I think the Padres need to, get back to their roots a little bit. When you turn on the TV and you see the brown jerseys, you know it's the Padres. And it might not be the prettiest uniform in the world, but it's the Padres. And if you're going to build a brand and make yourself recognizable, I think something like this will help them move in that direction.
Right.
Now, real quickly, before we let you go, we're going to be talking a lot of Padres. We got lots of time to talk some Padres this season or this offseason. But Mark McGwire, the Padres signed him as the bench coach. Now, just like you, Josh, I stay away from San Diego radio, so I don't know what people are saying about that.
Right.
He has history with PEDs and all that stuff. What's your thoughts on them bringing in McGwire as the bench coach? Are you for it, are you against it, or are you not sure?
Okay, so he is the bench coach, not the hitting coach?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the right-hand man to Andy Green.
Yes.
Well, I like him now that you say that because, I wasn't able to get that clarified by the research I was doing, but bringing him in as a bench coach, the fact that he's been a proven winner in the past, and, obviously he is a notoriable name and he's still young enough where he can, get to these guys. Sometimes, and I hate to knock on Buddy Black or a lot of the older coaches. Some of the older coaches have had success, but I think a lot of times when you have these younger guys, and I hope I'm right, when it comes to our head coach also, but hopefully that he can, communicate with these guys in a way that they'll understand and make them successful. And hopefully, obviously he was very successful with the bat. Hopefully he can, rub off on some of these guys and improve the power production and production in general. I know he won't have a lot with the hitting coach per se because he's going to be on the bench coach variety, but I'm sure he's going to have plenty of opinion when it comes to their offensive performance.
Yeah, I think that he's going to bring some. He's got some history as a hitting coach and all that. I actually like it. I like the fact that they're bringing him in. He's been in baseball for a long time. It's time to move on from all that other stuff. He's a good baseball guy. I like that. I like that. What he's going to bring Andy Green as a young guy.
Right.
So I like that.
I think the best thing, and before we let you go, I just remember this: Mark McGwire's like 6'3" or 4. Andy Green's like 5'7". It's going to be really funny when they're standing next to each other. That's in the dugout. Yeah. That's going to look hilarious. So
David Goliath.
Yeah, it's going to look phenomenal. But I'm happy. Go ahead.
What's interesting to me, last little tidbit here. What's interesting to me is we pick up McGwire, who was with the Dodgers last year. They get Roberts. We get a third base coach that came from Arizona. There's a lot of movement inside the division as far as coaching is concerned, and I wonder how that's going to play out as far as being familiar with, the behind the scenes of certain rosters. We got a guy coming from Arizona who, was very familiar with what Arizona's doing behind the scenes, and now we got, Mark McGwire coming in that's very familiar with the Dodgers doing behind the scenes. So I wonder how that's going to play out, whether it's good or bad for the Padres in this next season.
Right. Yeah, it will be interesting, and I can't wait to get into more talk about that type of stuff. We're going to go ahead and let you go, of course, like we said before. We don't have the money or the knowledge to figure this thing out to keep you on the whole time. We are working on it, though. I was doing some research, believe it or not, this week. I haven't got it figured out yet. We are going to let you go. We're going to bring in Jake. We look forward to hearing from you in the chat room, and, of course, Sunday mornings and Wednesday evenings. Until next time, Josh, good talking to you again, and we'll see you next time, man.
Later, buddy.
You got it, guys. Take care.
Right,
later, dude.
So we're going to go ahead and bring Jake in. We're going to have Jake call in after this break anyways. We're going to be talking about the Chargers' victory. But you know what? I think we're going to be talking more general Charger stuff. It was a nice victory, but I don't want to spend the whole time just talking about this one game. I think we have...
Or we can do what Darren's doing. We can spend the whole hour talking about steroids use and HGH. I love it.
We can talk about that as well.
We can do a lot of things.
We're going to be back with Jake Hefner after the break, man.
Cali Comfort Barbecue in Spring Valley was built for West Coast Sunday morning football and fight night. Cali Comfort Barbecue has quickly become San Diego's slow smoke barbecue sports entertainment destination. Full service catering available for all your tailgating needs. CaliComfortSD.com.
Everybody knows what that music means. That music means it is time for us to be better than ever. That means Jake Hefner is with us. Jake, how's it going, man?
What's up, Jake?
Gentlemen, good Wednesday to you. How we doing?
Sir, Victory Wednesday.
We had the whole team back together again before you came on. We had Josh on the phone. It was like old times. It was great, man.
Oh man, just getting the four horsemen back together. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we got Mikey in the chat room. He's coming on later. We had Josh in earlier. We said, we're not rich enough or smart enough to figure the system out, so we can't figure out how to get you both on at the same time, but we will one of these days.
This is our reunion tour, Jake.
Yeah, we got to figure that one out, boys. We got to get us all back on at the same time.
Yeah, we're working on it. So we I don't know if you probably don't see the title of the show. We called the this week's show, Should We Reserve Our Playoff Tickets Now? The Chargers happen to win a game finally after 47 straight losses. What are your thoughts on the victory? Are you happy just to see a victory, or are you kind of disappointed because it was a little bit of a sloppy victory? What were your overall thoughts?
I mean, there's good things and bad things to take away from the victory. Obviously, I mean, clearly the game was played with high intensity, high effort. It looked like there were certain things that were actually corrected after so much time that we thought were not going to be getting better. Phillip Rivers obviously had a great game, 4 touchdowns over 300 yards. Antonio Gates had another multi-touchdown game. Melvin Gordon actually seemed to be getting on track a little bit against the Jacksonville run defense that up until that point was holding opposing running backs in check. And so, he had a nice game, not over 100 yards, but 60 yards, from the line of scrimmage, 20 of them passing, 80 yards total. And there's a lot of good things to take away from this victory. Now, the only thing that's eluded the Chargers this entire year is a winning streak. It's very... It's noticeable that the Chargers have not been able to put back-to-back wins together. And now that you have these final games of the year going up against very tough competition to try and close it out, it's going to be very difficult to do that, even if the Chargers are riding high right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the way I looked at it is we just had so many losses. It was just so great to have a victory. I actually really, really am each week I'm a little bit more impressed with Melvin Gordon. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that our offensive line hasn't done him any favors. I think the actual system that we're running isn't really doing him any favors. The fact that the guy is, when he gets the ball, the first guy does not bring him down. And sometimes the first two guys do not bring him down. He's fighting for yards. He's getting those extra yards. And he is on the verge of a breakout game, I would say, where he's going to really, really explode. But overall, I love how hard that guy runs.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give him some credit. It looked like he was becoming a little bit more comfortable, as the games have been going on. You've seen him a lot be hesitant out there, try and get those type of cuts where he can go east or west instead of just running forward. And he was doing that a little bit more. But you saw a little bit of those flashes that made him a star at Wisconsin on some of those runs where he was able to make those guys miss, and some of those highlight reel type of runs that obviously made him a number one pick. But on top of that, you really got to give credit to the offensive line. I mean, remember, the Chargers were playing out without two of their starting offensive linemen in DJ Fluker and left tackle King Dunlap. So Chris Hairston and Kenny Wiggins actually stepped in for them in this game and actually did a pretty decent job in terms of getting the Chargers run game, to a halfway decent marker. So collectively, as an effort, the running game looked a little bit better. And, of course, Melvin Gordon just getting more repetition is what he needs. And, of course, you're not going to see, in my opinion, against the last 5 games that the Chargers have left, I don't think you're going to see Melvin Gordon break the century mark. You hope to see him at least get his first touchdown of his young career. But, if we're really waiting for the progress of Melvin Gordon to really hit its payoff, the payoff probably is not really going to come until next year, but at least these last 5 games, you get him enough repetitions to where he can gain some confidence heading into next year, and then he can really be a good impact player.
You mentioned DJ Fluker, of course, dealing with, I think, is his 4th concussion. I think, if I'm not mistaken, all of them have been suffered in practices. Are we going to see him on the field again? Obviously, we have to all be worried about this pattern of concussions. I assume the Chargers are worried about that. Do you think he's going to be back this year? What's your overall thoughts on DJ Fluker and the concussions?
DJ is somebody that the Chargers should take very special care of. And if it's my opinion from a health benefactor, at this point of the year, especially where the Chargers are record-standing-wise, there may not be any other point to play him this year. And it's more for just the precautionary reasons, because much like Ladarius Green suffered at the beginning of the year, suffering 2 concussions within a matter of days, Fluker has suffered the same in a span of 4 days, once in practice and then once in a game. So when you look at that type of aspect, and then when you look at things as a whole as far as how many concussions he's had since he's been on this team, it's definitely something to be concerned about. And from the Chargers standpoint, in terms of safety, from the league standpoint, in terms of safety and concussion protocol, I think the Chargers should do their due diligence and possibly consider shutting DJ Fluker down for the rest of the season.
I actually agree with you. I'm a huge DJ Fluker fan, but I think that shutting him down and getting him ready for next year, letting him actually fully recover from these concussions is the best thing. I think that, when he hurt his ankle early, he came back a little bit early. He did what was best for the team and not what was best for him. I think it's time for him to do what's best for him now. We don't want to see him get any more concussions. He gets another one this year, and it could be serious. We're going to move on from the actual game. We could talk about how happy we are about victory and all the things that went right and stuff, but I want to talk about some more general Charger things. They fired their special teams coach today. It just seemed like a really weird time to do that. Is that because basically a game that we had pretty handily won almost got lost last week at the end because of the punt block, and then they looked like they were lost on that onside kick, or of course there's been stuff that's been happening all season. Was that the straw that broke the camel's back, or is there something else?
I don't think so, because then you could also look at the Jacksonville game as saying, hey, we finally made progress on special teams by getting 2 punt returns that were actually returned. We're not in the 1 yard category anymore.
That's so weird, right? Like they waited till a win to fire the guy. Like I just found that so funny to me.
Well, Kevin Spencer. I mean, we've talked about it for weeks now. That I've been saying that he was going to be one of the coaches that at the end of the year was going to find a pink slip in his office. So this doesn't necessarily come as a surprise to me, but like you guys are saying, the timing is definitely strange. There were, some reports earlier today that were saying that it was because of health issues that they had, quote unquote, and wanted to use the word parting ways with Kevin Spencer rather than the term of firing him. So we really don't know exactly what the issue is. In my opinion, I think Kevin Spencer was gone whether he would have lasted the last part of the regular season or not. But, now for the remaining 5 games, you've got assistant special teams coach to helm for the rest of the season, and we'll see how this shapes up.
Jake, my man, I hope your holiday season's going well. Hope your Thanksgiving was well. I wanted to talk about Manti Te'o and Denzel Perryman a little bit. Very impressed with what I saw on Sunday, and I'm getting back into the game a little bit here. But you know us, we're all over the board. I'm really loving the run stuffing ability of Denzel Perryman. I know that when Te'o's on the field and he's healthy, he can be a big contributor. And it was great that we're seeing minimal of Donald Butler out there at a 20% clip now. I think he's not getting many snaps. What does this all mean going forward? Is this your two inside backers now? Are we looking at a duo here that they are going to build on? And are you seeing the exit of Donald Butler?
Well, remember what we said at the beginning of this season? We said that, or at least I said, that by no means was Denzel Perryman going to come in and unseat Donald Butler for the starting role unless Donald Butler just fell completely flat and Denzel Perryman just set the world on fire. And Denzel really didn't need any opportunity to get to set the world on fire to overtake the starting role of Donald Butler. Donald Butler just didn't come out and perform like we had expected he was going to, and Denzel Perryman has since overtaken that opportunity with tremendous success. And you talk about a 1-2 punch with him and Manti Te'o, two completely, in my opinion, completely different middle linebackers. One brings the mental toughness, the other one brings the physicality that you really want out of covering that middle part of the field. Some of the plays that Denzel was making back there and some of those tackles that he's been making, not only just last week, but over the last 2 weeks, have been very impressive. And then to see Te'o get out there and see him, having the awareness and, basically just being able to command the rest of the defense in terms of knowing where the plays are going to be executed, and then, of course, coming up with his second career interception. It was all just a really great flash to see for the progress of a young defense that's going to be moving forward. And we all knew when Denzel Perryman was drafted that this was possibly a warning signal for either Donald Butler or Manti Te'o to see who was going to be the odd man out in terms of which guy wanted the job more. And it definitely seems like you get more production out of this combination duo than you have with Donald Butler in rotation in the past. So this is going to be an interesting footnote to see, especially with these 5 games left, to see how Perryman and Te'o do as a pair, and ultimately what decision Tom Telesco makes with a contract situation of Donald Butler looming.
Yeah, it seems. First of all, I love that analogy, and I think that Perryman and Te'o, I know it's only one game, but it seems like they complement each other because they each have exactly what you said. They have different strengths. What one guy's weaknesses, the other guy's strengths are, and vice versa. Does this, to you, does this mean that the Chargers have basically moved on from Don Butler? Is this it? Is this what we're going to see for the rest of the year? And the second part of that question is something that Darren brought up in the chat room, and he says Melvin Ingram thanks Donald Butler every day that nobody's talking about his quiet season. Do you agree with that? Do you think that Melvin Ingram is kind of lucky that Donald Butler is taking all the spotlight away from him, so nobody's talking about him?
Well, there's a lot of people I think that could thank Donald Butler for taking the spotlight away from them. I don't think it's just, unfortunately, I don't think it's just Melvin Ingram. But I'm sure Kendall Reyes is thanking him as well in certain respects. But
hey, in Kendall Reyes' defense, I heard something that I've never heard before. And at the very beginning,
his name called?
The announcer said, "What a great play by Kendall Reyes." I almost fell off my couch. I don't know if you remember that when he knocked down that pass. Sorry to interrupt you, Jake.
No, it's okay. I was more in disbelief myself when I actually saw it. I mean, credit to Kendall Reyes on the play, of course, but gosh, we as fans and as analysts would just love to see a little bit more consistency from a week in, week out basis. But getting back to Melvin Ingram, you talk about a guy who's definitely had a quiet year. I mean, and in a year where he's been fully healthy, above all else. We've always talked about the fact that he's been injured and hasn't been able to play a full season, and now he has. And in reality, the best linebacker that's on the outside of this unit has been Jeremiah Atauchu.
Yes.
I don't know what is going on with Melvin Ingram. If it's just a quick, on the off chance that he's getting to the quarterback, if it's a quick release, or if he's getting extra blocks, or if he's getting extra attention, who knows what it is. But a lot of people had high expectations for him just in terms of the off season that he put in and the work that he put in the locker room, in terms of his regimen of shedding weight and getting in better shape. And you had all these high expectations for him, and there really just hasn't been that type of production that we had all expected to see. So, it's nice, from Jeremiah Atauchu's point of view, to see the progression that he's made in his sophomore year, and of course him being fully healthy is always a plus as well. But Donald Butler and Melvin Ingram, you can definitely say, are two guys that in this part of their careers, have to say is a disappointment.
Jake, why do people in this town think Eric Weddle is on a pedestal, and there are people that are like me? Why are there varying opinions? Some people think he's a top 5 safety in this league, and I would strongly disagree with that, just because I watch every Sunday. But I ask you because I want to know your opinion on Eric Weddle, because he's out the door this year anyway. What's your opinion on Eric Weddle? I know he's a leader, and I know he calls out the plays, but why in this town do people think he's untouchable? I just wanted to get your opinion.
The leadership is definitely one of those high factors. And when you talk about a team that has been vying for a safety since Rodney Harrison, and going through all of these different players that this team has had to go through, and you find somebody who for a long time really provided you some stability, and of course definitely was physically tough. Never really missed a game until just a couple weeks ago. Very, very rarely was he out of the lineup. But Weddle does definitely have it behind the ears in terms of making the players better around him. As you say, look, the physical attributes in terms of his coverage abilities have definitely decreased, right, as he looks slow out there in terms of being able to cover people. There were certain tackles that he couldn't even complete.
No.
Yes.
And definitely, I was bringing up the question myself that it just looks like, this does not look like a guy who
he wanted a contract.
That type of should be commanding this type of a contract, and not just from the Chargers, but from anybody in the league. I don't know if he's going to be getting that type of money with the type of performance that he's putting out on the field, but. You take the resume that he has put together for this team, and it's definitely something to admire, and definitely something to not forget in terms of the contributions that he has made for this team. Right. Say what you want about Eric Weddle off the field, and the unfortunate off-season events that have occurred, and the all likelihood that he will not be back with this team. But I believe that this is probably. Out of the long time that Eric Weddle has been with the San Diego Chargers, this definitely seems like his worst year, unfortunately, and it just possibly comes at the worst possible time on top of everything else. But you look at what Eric Weddle has done in the past, and I think that is why everybody, as far as fans and teammates and coaches included, really consider him a viable piece to what this defense has become.
We talked a lot about Weddle and the contract that he wanted to re-sign, and this is one of the things that I'll give Tom Telesco credit on, was he didn't fall into that and re-sign him to some big numbers, because King Dunlap, and all these guys, when the Chargers brought him back, we were all happy about it. Let's not pretend like we weren't.
No.
But they signed King Dunlap, which looks like, I don't know if it's injury, I don't know what it is, but he does not seem like the player he was before. They signed, of course, Donald Butler to that contract extension. Definitely has not been the player that they were expecting to get. Brandon Flowers got re-signed to a contract extension. I'm actually in the minority here, although I don't think he has been one of the top 10, corners in the league or top 5 corners in the league. I think that people are a little bit too hard on him, to be honest with you. I don't think Brandon Flowers has been as bad as everybody has been talking about. But Tom Telesco has made some pretty, we praise him for being able to move on from bad signings, and it looks like he's going to probably move on from the Donald Butler signing. But Tom Telesco, I think a lot of the problems are him. And there's a lot of people out there that say, fire everybody, fire the coach, replace the play. They want to start all over, which to me is such a horrible idea. I think that the problem lies with Telesco. I think that we have a team that just is flat out not as good as the other team. We got Sean Lissamore, who's a really nice guy, and he tries really hard.
But he has 2 tackles all year long.
We came into this season... Tom Telesco came to the season thinking that that's our starting nose tackle. I think that a lot of the problems for this team you need to go on his shoulders, not necessarily McCoy's. I think McCoy isn't the problem. I think Telesco's the problem. What's your thoughts on that?
Here we go with the blame game. I mean, there's really a lot of reasons why you could say the blame lies with this person or that person or anything like that. When you look at the Chargers as a whole, this is definitely the team that Telesco has built and the product that he has provided on the field. When you really look at the talent of the people that are on the field, especially on the defensive side of the ball, it doesn't seem like it's the right formula that's actually going to work. And the way I've been looking at it, like I've told you guys before, I think he built this team in the exact mirror image of how it was built in Indianapolis. A much undersized type of defense that plays more fast than anything else. But when you're playing from behind all of that time, that defense is going to wear down extremely, extremely quick. And when you have a defensive coordinator like John Pagano, who plays more of a hybrid 3-4-4-3, so which really means that you need a combination of size somewhere in there. And you can't use the prototypical team that you have at your disposal. It's not going to work as often as you would like it to. So the equation here, as far as what was being built, is definitely not in the right hands at this point in time. Now, am I saying that Tom Telesco should be fired? No, because I do believe that there are players on this team, both offensive and defensive alike, that are definitely pieces to build on for the future that Tom Telesco has already put in place. So I think some reassessment definitely needs to be done. I think some coaching changes in the end of the day definitely need to get done. I definitely think that Pagano is kind of on his last legs out the door. Personally, unfortunately, the stats I don't think can support him, and there's going to have to be a scapegoat in some form or fashion or another. And I think he's going to have to fall on the sword at the end of the year. But coaching at some point definitely has to come into play here, and whether that lies with positional coaches, offensive or defensive coordinators, or head coaches, what have you. Somebody has to take responsibility at some point of the time. You put these players on a team, and you expect that you have the coaching personnel to ultimately, at the end of the day, be able to coach them up to a championship caliber. And unfortunately, none of that has come to fruition.
Now, we make Jake Hefner the owner of the Chargers tomorrow. Mike McCoy, I just lost the offensive coordinators.
Frank Reich.
Frank Reich and Tom Telesco. Are those 3 people on the Chargers next season?
Frank Reich, absolutely not. That would probably be my first order of business. I think that the offensive philosophy that he has had in place, his inability to really figure out what type of a game plan that he wants to stick with from a week-in, week-out basis, it just doesn't work. And in my opinion, it really hasn't worked these past 2 years in terms of the transition goes. So he would definitely be number 1 out. Mike McCoy, I had said it after the Kansas City game that his resolve after the losing streak that the Chargers had been on and then coming off the bye week against a divisional opponent at home and to lose the way that he did, you can't take that away from him, and you can't make that type of an excuse. Now, he still has another year on his contract. If you jettison the rest of the coordinators and you left Mike McCoy to possibly be able to build something up, my chances as far as if I'm running the team tomorrow, I give it an 80% chance that he's gone. Tom Telesco, I will give another opportunity to possibly build up this team in better fashion, because you can't look at Tom Telesco and say he's done everything wrong, because there's definitely a lot of people that he has brought in that has been some bright spots to this team that you definitely have to respect and applaud some of the moves that he's made.
Wow, that's the opposite of me, actually. I would actually, if it was me, I would bring Telesco back, I would bring Reich back, and I would bring McCoy back. Spencer would have been gone, he's already gone. Joe D would be gone, which we're kind of thinking that's a possibility too. And I've always been such a big Pagano fan, but I think I would move on from Pagano too. But I actually I think that Frank Reich has got kind of a bum rap a little bit. I think that he hasn't had a full gun to work with, and I think that if he had all his bullets, I think that we'd be seeing something a little bit different. That's just my opinion, but I actually put a lot of this on Telesco. I wouldn't move on from him. I don't like teams that the Washington Redskins are like that. I don't like teams that. Yeah, I want to build some consistency, but I put a lot of it on. Here's a
question.
Telesco.
Here's a question for Jake. Who are potential candidates for these openings? I mean, if we're gonna clean house, and I'm with you. I think Frank Reich needs to go. I'm not on Jason's train, but and nor do we ever see him eye to eye very often on that. But Frank Reich, he's been good at times. He filled in admirably. I thought the same thing as you, Jake. Is he's off the grid. 1 week it's this, 1 week it's that. Obviously, you don't want to be predictable, but he was predictable on top of everything else. So, what are your potential candidates as of right now, maybe filling that void?
For an offensive coordinator, what's interesting as far as when you look around the league, as far as who's being like really, really creative with their offense. Normally, if Hugh Jackman was able to, make a lateral move, he would definitely be at the top of my list. Even if Mike McCoy ends up getting jettisoned, I would like to have Hugh Jackman as my head coaching replacement candidate 100%. But you look around the league at some of and look at what a lot of these offensive positions you're doing. If you're talking about bringing up an offensive coordinator, you're really going to have to look at a current offensive coordinator's assistants or people who have been there before and maybe are down a little bit lower. There's really a plethora that you could do in terms of an offensive coordinator replacement. Right. And when you look at some of the top offensive coordinator positions around the league, Cincinnati is definitely one. You look at Denver, number 2. You look at New England, of course, number 3. Not necessarily ranked like that, but you look at some of those top offenses as far as potential destinations that you could bring in. Obviously, maybe is there some other combinations in terms of the history that obviously with what we've seen from Tom Telesco as far as bringing people over from India. Is there anybody that he knows from the Indy tree that he would bring over that he's familiar with? Is there anybody that Mike McCoy is familiar with that you bring some type of strength to that coaching unit in terms of, and the same thing goes for defensive coordinator position. Actually, one person that I actually have an eyeball on in case he's actually released to possibly replace John Pagano. How about Mike Pettin? Because he was a great defensive coordinator for the Jets, was outside linebackers coach for Rex Ryan in the time that he was with Baltimore for all those years, and he's worked his way up the ladder in great fashion as a defensive coordinator. He's a lot like Wade Phillips, I think, and where he's a great coordinator but just not a good head coach. And should the time come to where Cleveland decides to jettison him, I think he would be a great defensive coordinator replacement for John Pagano. He runs the same type of 3-4 system. I would not mind having him in that type of role whatsoever because he knows how to run a true 3-4 defense.
Well, my first reaction is after I said what I thought the Chargers should do, it was insinuated in the chat room that I might be smoking the pot tonight. So first of all, let everybody know that I am not.
Oh, man.
Another thing that was brought up, and I completely think that it would be a circus and a train wreck to bring him in, but do you think there's any chance that the Chargers would look at bringing in Rob Ryan?
No.
Well, I mean, his stats as of late definitely don't support that fact. And when you look at, the teams that he's, handled the last couple of years with Cleveland and most recently the Saints, you could look at it from the same type of argument that we're looking at right now. Was the talent level there? Was the coaching level there? And because he's not had the same success as Rex has had over his tenure as a coach, maybe it doesn't seem like the most viable option to do. Obviously, you want to reach to somebody now, especially at this point in making your transition, of someone who's had success at a coordinator position. And, Rob's kind of had a helter-skelter type of career in both the head coaching aspect and the coordinator aspect. So he definitely wouldn't be a name that would interest me at the top of my list.
Norv Turner beat us this year. I'd love to have him back.
Oh, man.
I'm just kidding. Joking. Just kidding. Come on, guys. Have a little laughter once in a while. Storm with Norvin. He's that guy that, what's that quote on the local affiliates? He goes, we're going to go this way with that thing. Yeah, he tried to do a pregame or a postgame speech.
Nice.
Let's go this way with that thing, and he just didn't. He's terrible at that kind of stuff.
I will say one thing that Norv Turner said that always kind of, when I first heard it, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way as I was going to say, well, who are you to say something like this? And it was actually his exit speech on the way out of when he was fired as coach. I'm not sure if you guys remember this.
I do.
Yeah. But he said to the media, he said, to the fan base of watching this team going forward in the future, be patient. Be patient with my replacements and be patient with this team because they're not as close as you think that they are.
I remember that.
Yeah, and he was right.
It's kind of weird to come back to it after 3 years and say,
but he was right.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he basically said that the players are really bad, and we got a lot out of a little. And he was right. Now we've tried to avoid it for so long. A lot of stuff came out on the stadium issue today. It seems like every day all this crap happens, and then all of a sudden it's like breaking news. And to me, it's like nothing's changed. But I want to ask you, has anything changed? Are we still up in the air? Tomorrow is a bunch of other stuff going to break saying different things, or it just seems like everything, all this news comes out and nothing's changed. But we need to hear from somebody who knows. Jake, what's going on? Has anything changed?
I mean, what you're hearing is, the same thing that unfortunately San Diego's been listening to for almost a full year now. I think just for the fact of who's saying it at this point in time makes it more newsworthy in the fact that Roger Goodell actually says that San Diego does not have a viable solution in order to keep their team in San Diego. And when you hear the teams come out and they have set now a vote date for January 12th and 13th, which is, not that far away now, when we had all hoped that it was going to be something that was going to be delayed until March, or, possibly maybe even hold it off until next year, so to give the Chargers a little bit more time to possibly go back to the renegotiating table with Fabiani and with Dean Spanos. But now you look at it, and now it becomes real, because this is what everybody has kind of been waiting for. People have put out all the news that they want from both the Chargers side, from the city side, and at the end of the day, we always kind of said, well, you know what, nothing's really official until at the end of the day these owners come together, because they have the final say, whether anybody wants to say whatever they want. Fabiani can say whatever he wants, and unfortunately the mayor can say whatever he wants at this point too. But the owners truly do have the final say at the end of the day on this. And, with the way that things are going now, this is kind of into the home stretch mode. And now it becomes really a serious situation as far as the type of ruling that you're going to hear here in the last couple of weeks. And, of course, the only issue now, when you look at it, is, well, Dean Spanos has got a group of owners behind him, and Stan Kroenke has a group of owners behind him. And they definitely don't seem like a pair that is going to make something work together as a partnership in Inglewood. So it really becomes to the de facto question is, do the owners ultimately want just one team in Los Angeles or two teams. Because if the two-team aspect is there, then I believe that they will force, at the end of the day, Dean Spanos and Stan Kroenke to make a partnership. And one way or another, it doesn't look good for the fact that Roger Goodell comes out and signals out San Diego as far as saying that we don't have a proper proposition in place. And in all facts, none of Oakland,
Right.
San Diego, or St. Louis do. That is the reality. Let's not forget that.
And we all knew that, though.
Yes, but it's not good when he at least singles out and you hear that. But there's a lot of silver lining that you have to take into place here as far as what's going to be happening between now and December 28th, which is now the deadline that Roger Goodell gives as far as these cities coming back with a viable proposal that, in reality, none of them are going to have ready by that time frame. So it's really going to come down to that very fact. Is LA going to be housing one team or two teams? And the owners are ultimately going to vote on that. That is the last, really, it sounds like at this point, now that we're in the home stretch, that is the last remaining hurdle to go over as far as the final vote goes. And depending on how the league sees it as far as the teams that they want to be housing in the quote-unquote mega market, that's really what the question is going to come down to in these final days.
Now, if the league decides they only want one team, and we got three teams battling out, who has the most support from the other owners? Is it Kroenke or is it Spanos?
Well, again, this is where the stalemate has kind of come in, because at this point, every owner seems to have equal amount of support. It's split right down the middle. Both Kroenke and Spanos have claimed to have enough votes to block the other one from getting a vote passed. But let's just say hypothetically, if it's Stan Kroenke that ultimately wins the vote, you have to really look at it as a possibility. Okay, where do the Chargers and Raiders go now? And it doesn't really sound like the NFL is going to be in a position to where they would just send them back packing. As simple as that. I think they would ultimately say, well, maybe this is something that we can revisit in the future, as far as saying, let's have the Rams in place, and possibly down the line at another time we can install a second team in Los Angeles. They're always going to be looking for that money factor. Don't think just because one hurdle is cleared that one realm of possibility is not out of the question. If ultimately the Chargers are picked, then you really have to look at the end game for San Diego. And as much as it pains me to say that if they ultimately pick San Diego as the team that they want, make no mistake about it that Mark Davis will definitely follow and go on with that as their proposed deal in Carson that they have been saying is a viable option at this point. But it's definitely going to be an interesting couple of weeks here as this news transpires.
Well, before we let you go, first of all, are you available to talk to us Sunday morning on the pregame show this week?
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
Awesome. Love that. And, we're going to allow you to change this prediction every single week if you'd like. But as of right now, week 1 of the 2016 season, where are the Chargers playing?
I don't think it's
Idaho.
San Diego.
Idaho.
There's been talk about the Rose Bowl because Dean's had some partnerships with them as far as USC goes. There's been talks of other locations. There's even been talks about the StubHub Center, which God in heaven for someone who has gone to plenty of games there that they do not do that if that is their ultimate choice. Obviously, I would love to be saying that come next year they're still playing in Qualcomm, still trying to get a downtown stadium area deal complete. I would love to be saying that.
Right.
As of right now, though, it just doesn't seem like San Diego is going to be that silver lining that comes through the clouds.
So as of right now, and like I said, each week you're very, very able to change this prediction. You're saying in the Rose Bowl is what your guess is right now?
And basically the prediction, obviously I can't pick a location. Nobody really knows where it is. But as of right now, I definitely don't see the Chargers, unfortunately, playing in San Diego in 2016.
Wow. Well,
me neither.
I'm sure, yeah. It looks that way
shocking,
right
guys.
now. It looks that way right now.
We need to all get used to this. It's not.
And,
it's not looking good.
We all hope you're wrong, and I'm sure you hope you're wrong also. Jake,
Absolutely.
on that depressing note, we're going to let you go.
Oh, thanks for making me cry.
We've been used to being depressed every single Wednesday for the last few weeks. So
No, you mean the entire existence of my life, 30 years and counting.
That's right. Justin had his 30th birthday this weekend. So,
right.
30th.
he wasn't.
Happy 30th.
Thanks, buddy.
He had his 30th birthday hangover Sunday morning.
Oh,
That's
dude,
why he wasn't
I couldn't
with us.
be with the show because of prior engagements.
So we're going to let you go. We look forward to talking to you as always Sunday morning, talking about beating those Broncos. Enjoy your week, and we look forward to talking to you, Jake.
Definitely, guys. Happy to talk to you again on a Wednesday, and definitely looking forward to our podcast on Sunday.
Awesome.
Later, buddy.
Thanks, man. All right, Jake Hefner. It's been a while since we had hooked up with Jake on a Wednesday.
The Hefner, the Hefnator. He's a good man. I love the Hef, man.
Love Jake.
He's great.
Love Jake.
He's a good man. Full of knowledge, you know. And even if it's going bad, he's got all the right things to say, you know. Well, like we literally sit here and do this, and we're 3-8, and it's hard to come up with things to talk about at times. And I know we just came off a win, but there's no looking forward to the season because you're in the playoff hunt. There's no questions like that. It's all about depressing stuff. So it's hard to keep these conversations going at times because you're not as enthused as you would be in a normal year.
Right.
You know,
unfortunately.
You're right.
It's tough.
It's tough.
Trying to enjoy each and every week.
It's
but
tough.
It is a little bit tough. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to bring Mikey on. We're going to be talking some Aztecs football and basketball and other Aztec stuff.
Yes.
We will be back.
This is Josh and Mikey from the San Diego Sports Junkies. We are teaming up with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of San Diego County to make a difference in kids' lives.
In 2014, Big Brothers Big Sisters provided more than 1,700 children with supportive mentoring relationships that created a positive change in their lives.
This year, our goal is to make a difference by giving more than 1,800 children a big brother or a big sister.
You can do your part by going to SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com and purchasing one of our One Before I Die t-shirts, where we will donate 20% of every purchase to this great cause.
For more information on how you can become a big brother or big sister, visit sdbigs.org and help the San Diego Sports Junkies make a difference in a child's life today.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the show. This is my favorite part of the show. Not to discount the Charger season or anything. They're only 3-8. We got the Aztecs Sports Report, Aztecs Hoop Nation Report with Mikey Maciejewski, formerly a San Diego Sports Junkie, and now his own. He's broadened his horizons. He doesn't hang out with us.
He's a country of his own.
Yes, he doesn't hang out with losers anymore like ourselves. Losers. So, how you doing? How was Thanksgiving, Mikey?
Great, man. I just stopped tearing up from that commercial I played a little
bit. Oh, my God. I had the tissues out.
So beautiful, dude.
It's unreal.
Yeah, I had the Cavassier out.
Oh, dude, you're drinking. Don't do it. Step back from the ledge, my friend. That's awesome.
Well, I'm glad you guys are back. I'm glad that somebody talked some Aztecs to you guys. It's been a while here.
For sure, dude. I get a little, even though me and you keep in contact throughout the weeks, we don't get to do this on the live show. So what'd you think, man? We went through a stretch of games there, Cal, West Virginia, and now beating a pretty good Long Beach State team, in my opinion. What was your thoughts on the overall play in those three games?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously beating Cal was huge. It's a signature win. Regardless of how Cal does, I expect them to get better because they're young, and they have a good mix, but I expect them to do well. That's going to be that quality win you need. As well as the Long Beach State, Joshua spoke about earlier. They're a tough team, a little bit underrated. They're a good team, but Yeah, that West Virginia, man. That was bad. I mean,
hard pill.
You guys said it earlier. They just looked unprepared, not ready. And I watched through the game. There was obviously an adjustment in the second half, but by that time it was way too late. I mean, they just beat San Diego State into submission when they were in that first half right there.
Overall so far this season, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that's Malik Pope. In his last game against Long Beach State, he showed some minor, small flashes of what we've expected, but I don't follow the Aztecs as close as you do, Mikey. I haven't seen everything. The games that I have watched, if I did not know who he was, I wouldn't. He has done nothing to stand out this year at all, right. And I'm not trying to be overly
hard on him.
Yeah, aggressively hard on him, but we had some pretty high expectations. Not that he can't fill them still, but overall, what's your thoughts on what he's done and why so quiet so far this year?
Yeah, John Rothstein mentioned this morning he's only scored once in double figures. The one thing is, the first couple of games, I mean, he looked just very slow, like he just seemed disinterested in the game. Even you think back to last year in the non-conference schedule where he played San Diego Christian, I believe, where he, that's where he took it coast to coast, crossed the guy over, and then dunked it from 5 feet out.
Yes.
That's when we first saw the potential and explosiveness. You haven't seen that. The one thing I will say is, Malik Pope is a shooter, and shooters go cold, and the thing is they keep shooting, and I mean he's not forcing. I mean, yeah, sometimes he forces shots early in the shot clock, which he needs to stop doing, and he's obviously starting to see the bench a lot more because of that. But there's times where he's wide open and he takes a shot, he just misses it. You don't tell a shooter to stop shooting because in a bad stretch, his stretch just happens to come at the beginning of the year. But I mean, he did score 9 points this last game with 8 rebounds, so 9 and 8 is a really good game.
Right.
Obviously not for him, but a good game to start hoping moving in the right direction.
Another player I wanted to touch on. Is this what we've been waiting for out of Trey Kell?
Oh yeah.
I mean, this has to be his coming out party because I know he's had some games here where he's hit some threes, but nothing to the magnitude he hit them in versus Long Beach last night. I found myself mesmerized by him just throwing up a 3-ball and not being fazed by the pressure and making clutch shots. What were your thoughts there? And is this where we see the rise of a Trey Kell this season?
Yeah, I mean, when you hear the word heat check, that was it. I mean, 1 second left, falling out of bounds, a defender right in his hand from NBA range. Right. That was a nut. I mean, he's a very solid player. I believe he's 6'5", playing shooting guards. That's an ideal height for NBA shooting guards. And he's physical. I mean, he's not a small kid. If you see him, he backs down defenders. He's got a lot of runners or short shots with a defender right on him. The 3-ball obviously is what he's known for when he was recruited here. So, there was concern, but you've read it, Justin. He retweaked his motion over the summer, and that takes some time getting used to. In a live situation, obviously, you can't duplicate playing live in practice because there's no way to do it. But I mean, this could be it. I mean, the thing with this Aztec team is there's just so many weapons. It could be any guy, any night. It could be Winston Shepard. It could be Dakari Allen. It could be Jeremy Hemsley. It could be Malik Pope. It could be Zylan Cheatham. It could be Trey Kell. It could be Ben Perez.
Yeah.
I mean, you see where I'm getting at. It really could be anybody, any game, depending on who the defense is giving it to. Will he be a more consistent scorer? I think so. Will he be, the leading scorer every game from here on out? Probably not, because again, there's just so many options, and it just depends who has the mismatch that game that's really going to thrive playing against the opposing team that day or that week.
Somebody, we talked about the struggles, of course, of Malik Pope so far. Somebody who came into a lot of hype, and to me so far has lived up to that hype, and maybe even past that, has been Jeremy Hemsley. What's your thoughts so far on his play so far, and has he exceeded what you were expecting him to do this early?
exceeded by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to remember, this kid wasn't like a 5-star recruit. He wasn't like a you can't miss, surefire guy coming out of high school. He's like a top 100, maybe in the 60s and 70s, maybe even up to the high as 50s, recruit. So for him to do what he's been doing at a point guard position that he really hasn't played his whole career at is outstanding, is amazing. He has exceeded it. He's been a team leading scorer. He's clutch when it comes to free throws. You know who reminds me of the free throw line? Xavier Thames.
Yeah.
I mean, he just gets up there. He's so calm. He just, you think he's going to make it every single time. I mean, he's so clutch. Obviously, you see some issues of not immaturity, but lack of experience.
Right.
He fouls. He fouls unnecessarily.
The charging
calls. Yeah, youth. Yeah, he gets called for a lot of charges. He also, in that West Virginia game, I mean, he threw the ball away so many times when he saw that press. But offensively, I mean, he's amazing. He's not afraid to take the shot.
Right.
Something that we lacked last year. I mean, there was guys that seemed that they were to set off with a jump shot and take it in. He's not. He'll take it in.
You said it too, and it's above and beyond what we thought we were getting out of him. He's been everything and more. What I'm more impressed with, even off the court, the way he sounds. Like, I watch, I'm sure you do too, all the post-game press conferences. Guys are up there nervous as hell, and they're even like juniors and sophomores, and Skylar Spencer just loses his mind when he's in front of a crowd. Hemsley's up there like he's a fifth-year senior going, hey, everything's fine, we're doing okay, and it's just like calm for him. Nothing rattles this kid. He knows he's super talented. Did we know he was going to be this good, Mikey? I thought for sure we're going to have a facilitator. Get the guys in right spots, make good passes, get them in scoring position. He's the one scoring. He's the one facilitating, and he's one getting to the hoop on a consistent basis and getting to the foul line. I mean, this is unprecedented. We could be looking at one of the greatest Aztecs in school history, depending on how long he stays here.
Yeah, and you say that, and my first instinct is to shoot that down, but you could be so right. You could totally be right. I mean, this is him as a freshman. It's amazing. I mean, like I said, he reminds me of Xavier Thames. Obviously, Xavier had could create a shot on the pick and roll. But, I mean, Jeremy Hemsley can create it on his own. He doesn't need the pick. He can just blow by a defender. And, I mean, this kid, the sky's the limit. I mean, I honestly, I'm astounded talking about him because this is a kid that I expected to be here 4 years. I mean, he may not be. That's how well he's been playing. Obviously, we need to, like Jason says, pump our brakes.
Yeah,
right.
Still early. Things could happen. The game could change as people see him play more. But I mean, if he continues this, he could be amazing. I remind you of Trey Kell last year. Started off super hot. Won first team all was the Maui tournament last year.
That's right.
But then he kind of fell off when it came to conference season. So I'm careful, but if he can keep playing this way, I mean, like I said, the sky's the limit for this kid.
A couple questions. The first question comes from the chat room, and they want to know if they're doing your portion from the throne. And
the throne. I made sure I used it. I went before.
Are you on the pot, Mikey? You're not echoey tonight.
You're on the pot, a different type of pot.
No. I do that during Josh's segment.
Oh, nice. You take your Spreaker app in the bathroom with you.
And
I do. Don't we all?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
And the second part is, we were all bummed when Matt Shrigley tore up his knee before the season started. Has Ben Perez come in and kind of filled that Shrigley role? Have you been happy with what you've seen out of him? And do you kind of see him as doing the things that we were expecting out of Matt Shrigley?
Offensively, yes. Offensively, Ben Perez has been exactly what I thought he would be. The typical Air Force player, a guy that can come in, quick release, 3-point shot, and just do score from that perimeter. Love to see him take it in a couple times. Love to see the follow-up dunk yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the bunnies that we've been looking for.
Yep.
But defensively, he's nowhere near Matt Shrigley. Matt Shrigley is a above average perimeter defender. And that's why you don't see Ben Perez playing as much, because his defense isn't where his offense is. He's really that guy that's going to stretch the floor for you. And as you guys see him, I mean, he's a three-point shooter. Let's not get that wrong about this kid. He is a straight three-point shooter. He's the guy that you can expect to hit a shot when he's open and quickly. I looked at the clock where it was winding down with like 2 seconds. He caught it, and he got rid of that ball so fast.
Oh, yeah.
He beat the buzzer.
Yeah, it's hard to I agree with you, Mikey, and it's hard to think this kid's a walk-on and wanted to play here and fought his way on the court and is producing for a very good Division I school at that. And if he keeps this up, he'll be in McKeel Quinn Company and be given a scholarship because Steve Fisher does reward his players. I wanted to move on to the lineup. I noticed we are keeping this lineup, with our 3 studs on the bench, Sky, Winston, and Pope. How long does this continue? And I don't mind it right now because it's producing results. It's kind of a ego check, though, for the other guys. And I noticed that the minutes aren't dropping off at all. I mean, they're all getting sufficient minutes playing time. What's your thoughts on the lineup, and do you think we could see a change in the near future? Or do you think Fish is saying, hey, this is what we're going to roll with for a while until I see otherwise?
I mean, unless one of these guys that you mentioned starts, producing on a daily basis at a high level, I think you're going to see it. I mean, you've seen, like I said, Pope had 9 and 8, but yesterday Shepard went 0 for 4 and all his points at the free throw line, and he had like 4 rebounds or something like that. So nothing spectacular. Until you see these guys start to dominate, I think they're going to keep going. Having Cheatham there so early is great, but you see it. He gets in foul trouble very easily.
Right.
There's many games where you can count, but he's
like a caged dog that's been let out and has been cooped up for like 3 days.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
No, he comes out like a rabid pit bull. It's nuts. He's all over the place.
Yeah. You saw the Long Beach State game. The tip went to him. He just blew by his guy. 4 seconds in, we had scored 2 points.
Yeah.
Literally from tip-off to basket was 4 seconds. I was like, that was quick. And you remember last year, possibly standing for 2-3 minutes clapping, waiting for them to make the first basket.
Right.
Ryland gets the ball and kicks it in 4 seconds. I mean, he's so fast. But you have the energy. You see the rush. I mean, the biggest thing has been foul trouble this year, and that's really caused some changes in the lineup. And you see it, you saw it in West Virginia. You saw it in Long Beach State. I mean, Angelo had 4 the most of the game. Cheatham had 4. It was just nuts. There's just too many things going on here, and it's going to stay this way until one of these 3 guys that you talked about forces his way back into that starting lineup. And it's going to take not just one game. It's going to take a string of games where they're just dominant. And you have 3 opponents coming up who are very, very, on paper, very easy matchups.
Well, somebody who's, one of my favorite players on the team, Angelo Chol, he has so far as of right now moved into the starting lineup. Have you seen the progression that we were hoping for from last year to this year, or do you think that he still has some more progressing to do?
Besides the fouls, Jason, what was the one thing do you remember that we would talk about was the issue with Angelo Chol last year?
It looked like he couldn't.
He looked stone hands.
He looked like he was playing with boxing gloves when he was trying to handle the ball.
Right, but now he's a very, very capable at catching the ball, and you've definitely seen it. He seems like he's gotten better at that, and I've been watching him every time he touches the ball. Even on rebounds, I remember yesterday there was 2 guys around him. He skied between both of them to get the offensive rebound, and then took it, passed it back out for a 3. So I'm seeing a better in the hands. Obviously, he's still getting in foul trouble, and that's the big issue with him. But I mean, physically he's there, and even last year we saw he would come in and he'd be physical with the guys, but with the new rules, he's too physical. So I mean, he's done some improvement, and I still think he's gonna do well. He just needs to, again, stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah, and that's got to give him a sense of pride too. A kid transferring from Arizona, thought he was going to be a stud there. Didn't get to play a lot here. I mean, got to play, but not as much as he thought. And now he's starting in a nice role for us, getting good minutes. And now he's producing for us. I love his little jump hooks. I love him backing down a defender with his little sky hook. He's really
I like him playing big.
Yeah, he is, and he's growing into that role every week. I agree with Mikey. You see him do something different you haven't seen him do in recent past. So happy with that. I wanted to ask you, Mikey, we got this USD game coming up on Saturday. at Petco Park. It should be a lot of fun. I think you're going to be there. I think
I will be there.
I will be there too. Hopefully, me and you can have a beverage together and hang out and have a good time. I was going to ask you, with this next stretch of games, I know it's not against the most quality opponents in the world, Nicholls State, Grand Canyon, Biola. And this is all going in before the Kansas game. In your opinion, is this something that's going to get us primed? In my opinion, I feel like they can get on a serious roll here, and I know it's not against top-notch opponents, and I know Kansas just got one of their best players back. By watching Kansas, they're crazy good. What's your thoughts on the next 5 games coming up for the Aztecs, and is it enough to get us in shape for a Kansas team?
Yeah, definitely. If you see the games, it's a definite progression. I think Grand Canyon is the best of those teams that are playing the next 4. And it's going to be a good boost of confidence. Obviously the USD game is it's like a made for TV kind of game,
right.
Based on the Jam Center guy, Jeff Jacobs, and all the guys from USD that helped, put money
Fowler.
to San Diego State. Yeah, Fowler, all those guys. That is what it is. It's going to be a showcase. But like I said, Biola, Nicholls State. They're teams that we should beat.
We should wax all these teams.
Fight.
Yeah, Grand Canyon knocked off New Mexico last year, and they have a proven pro head coach.
Dan Marley.
Dan Marley. He was a former NBA Dan Marley. So they are the only guys that I would be worried about on the schedule. But do you really think these guys can get that much clout going into that Kansas game? That's concerning to me because you're not playing any real opponent. And that kind of bugs.
Yeah, and I think they can. Again, West Virginia was such a bad matchup for us because you hardcore pressed a freshman point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas doesn't do that. Kansas lets you set up your offense, and Kansas doesn't really play zone that often. From what I've seen, they're able to match up. Yeah, they throw in some zone sometimes, but I think Kansas will try to match up man to man with us. And that plays more into our system than it does in playing a team like these lower level teams who zone us all day, and just dare us to shoot. So,
do you think
Long Beach State was a perfect matchup?
Yeah, no. I was gonna say that was the one game that really was probably gonna test us right on the road to a pretty good team. I think we all can agree Long Beach State's a bubble team. I see them in the field. They seem pretty good. I think that's that one game. So I was just wanted your opinion on the Kansas game. Now, do you see any disadvantage of the timing of this Kansas game coming up in the future with people being on Christmas break and whatnot? Do you see that concerning? That won't fill Viejas up for a nice home crowd?
Do you see the prices of the resale going for this Kansas game?
I know. No, I see it. I don't think anybody's going to miss that game. I fear that people won't be there, but I don't know how they wouldn't be.
Yeah, literally, I have the cheapest season tickets that you can get, and the face value for that seat is $100 a seat. That's face value.
Wow.
So
I'll give you $100 if you want.
Thanks, man.
That's the cheapest I could find.
Ticket, but thanks for the $300.
Yeah, thank you, buddy.
It's crazy. Most tickets, as you know, I just threw away some of the old ones I had, but like $10.
Yeah.
Actually, I have my Nicholls State tickets right here. Those are $10 for each. But so we're talking $100 face value seat here.
Wow.
This is a prime game. The demand for this game is crazy. I can't imagine that you won't be there. And students, they're saying they're going to make students show their red IDs walking in the door. You can't sell it, kids. You've got to be there. So I expect whoever is going to be there will be there, or whoever's buying a ticket will be there for that one.
That sounds good, dude. I was hoping you'd say that. I was kind of concerned a little bit, but you never know about the holidays. That's all I was saying.
Yeah,
but
that's true for sure.
As always, Mikey, we love talking to you, man. I've run out of questions for the week.
I got one more thing real quickly. This Aztec season, it's very, very early still. Mm-hmm. I know that. But overall assessment, I would say the season's been a bit of a roller coaster. They've maybe won games that against really good teams, but then they've lost some games that they should win.
Right.
One thing that I certainly don't know them as well as you do, but I like the fact that it seems that they have multiple options on the offensive side of the ball.
Yes.
They can go down and they can. I don't feel like I felt watching them in the past when we would get the ball and go down.
Anemic.
I would think, how the fuck are we going to get it in the basket this time? I don't feel that way. I feel like we have the ability. Of course, we ran up against the press and we weren't able to handle that. But overall, offensively, I'm very encouraged by this team.
Perimeter shooting, man, is so much improved. And I know they jack up a lot of threes, but they are hitting a lot of those things. And as Mark Ziegler said today on the radio, their percentage of 3-pointers is amazing. They have a very good percentage this year.
They're shooting threes. They're not chucking threes like they did in the past.
They used to, yeah.
But overall, what's your? Are you happy with? Of course, it's tough for you because I know you're such a huge Aztecs fan. You love your Aztecs, but are you happy with where they are right now? Or are you a touch disappointed because maybe there's a couple games they should have won?
Yeah, definitely. I'm disappointed. I mean, definitely disappointed. You know me, I'm the eternal optimist. And kind of like with Jason and the Chargers.
Mm-hmm. I know you are positive, Patty, with the Aztecs. So I'm tiptoeing around the question because I don't want to make you say you're disappointed with your favorite team. But
no, I am. I am though. I mean, I'll be real. I am. Obviously, I'm disappointed. Obviously, in the play of Malik Pope. I'm hoping encouraged of how he played this last game and his points. And I'm disappointed with the results that have come out and how bad we've looked sometimes because we've looked really bad. But on the other hand, I am very encouraged with the way that the team is running out and the scoring options, like you mentioned, Jason. There's just so many of them, and yeah, I mean, I think a big part of the threes that you saw was Long Beach State really just packed it in. Mm-hmm. I mean, against West Virginia, we didn't hit a single jump shot.
No.
All our points were dunks and free throws.
Right.
So, where's your concern? You're concerned that they're taking too many jump shots, or are you concerned they're taking too many dunks?
Right.
And, it's like people are complaining, they scored all their points in dunks. Well, as a coach of basketball that I did, I would love for all my points to come down low and, as a layup. That'd be fantastic.
Right.
So there's that, but like I said, I'm disappointed where they're at. I really expected them to do better. I expected them to show up against West Virginia, obviously to beat Little Rock, and the loss was to, escapes me right now, to the loss, Justin.
I'm trying to think.
Oh,
they lost.
Utah.
Utah. On the road.
A game that we should have won. Should have won.
Yep.
Should have won. But, again, obviously Little Rock, bad loss. West Virginia and Utah are going to be good losses because they're good teams.
Right.
And, I mean.
That Little Rock one hurt
before
bad.
I do go.
And I will go one more thing before you finish off. Before the season started, if you remember correctly, we asked about, all these different things, and one of the things we asked about was your concerns, and you said your concerns was actually the defense, which is something that we've never worried about these Aztecs the last few years. In the games that I've watched, their defense has looked a little bit suspect. What are your overall thoughts about, were your concerns justified? Have they been maybe a little bit not where they're supposed to be defensively this year? What are your thoughts on how the Aztecs defensively have looked this year?
Yeah, I mean, early on they looked really bad, and when we talked about this in the first show we did together, guys looked out of position very often, and it was against bad competition, so they were able to erase that. I've seen better. I've definitely seen an improvement. I mean, you see guys switching better. That's the biggest thing. They were when they would switch off on screens, like there would be guys open for threes, like especially against Utah. You saw it a lot where the Utah guys were open for 3-pointers and they were hitting them.
No, that's
Long Beach State.
Yeah, Long Beach State. I was just going to say, and I don't mean to cut you up, but they have been better. They just hit some really good shots. Long Beach State couldn't miss from downtown last night. I couldn't believe some of the shots these guys made, and they were out in position, hand in the face, and they were
deep 3-pointers.
Yeah, face guarding them and everything, and still hit. So I agree with you, Mikey. I think it's improved vastly, and I think each week we go here, and especially getting into conference play eventually, and they're going to be fine. I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah. One thing before I go, guys, really quick. Saturday, Qualcomm Stadium.
Yes. Mountain West
Aztecs.
title game.
Mountain West championship game.
Dude, that's awesome.
Aztec football, man. That's crazy.
That's going to be exciting. First time ever.
Can you believe that? If you remember, we were so hard on Rocky Long earlier this year after they had lost.
You guys have pie on your face, don't you?
Oh man, we were talking about. Do you remember? We were really hard on how they haven't taken that next step, and it's time to move on, and all sorts of stuff. And my question to you is, did this happen because the competition they're playing is a little bit less, or did they just finally get their act together?
Well, I mean, they lost to South Alabama, so it's not like the competition was that great before.
Right.
Exactly. But no, they definitely got better. I mean, they got better. This team, I mean, looks unstoppable. I mean, I've watched every game.
Right.
I've been to pretty much every home game except this last one because it was too darn cold. San Diegans.
Yeah.
It's under 70.
It's chilly, man. You got to put on a jacket, brother.
You got to put on a light sweater or something. I'm staying home.
It's snowing.
But, I mean, they just look dominant, man. I mean, they look dominant. Obviously, losing Maxwell Smith is a huge concern, but it's not like we run the ball all the time. If Pumphrey controls the game like Pumphrey can, he just won the Mountain West Player of the Year.
Right.
Then you're good. I mean, he's the key. If we can control him, he's the key. The offense will not lose a beat.
Yeah, and we do a good job in stuffing the run, and we do a good job of running a football. And the special teams with Rashad Penny returning kick. I mean, we've been pretty good on a lot of phases. The quarterback is not asked to do a lot in this offense, regardless if it's I think it's Christian Chapman and Maxwell Smith. Formerly Maxwell Smith. Is he out for the year, by the way?
There's talk he might come back for the bowl game. I guess he tore his ACL.
Oh shoot.
But you saw how Phil, Flacco played through a torn ACL. Phil did as well. You just don't have that lateral mobility at all.
Right.
But but
what
some exciting things.
Yeah, Chapman gives you a little dynamic though because he's more mobile than Maxwell Smith. So maybe they can bootleg him out a little more. Not ask him to do a ton. Don't throw picks. And give the ball to your running backs.
Let's be honest. The Aztecs aren't winning because of Maxwell Smith. I mean, he has improved. At the beginning of the season, he looked lost.
15 passes a game. That's
I was so disappointed with what I saw out there. He looked absolutely lost.
Right.
But he certainly has improved. But this winning streak and them playing great has been run game and defense.
They are the total opposite of what the Chargers are. Yeah. They are absolutely so splendidly not the Chargers.
Maxwell Smith hasn't thrown a pick since Penn State.
Yeah, it was 8 straight games? Yeah. That's crazy.
But I watched that Penn State game, and those were some pretty ugly picks that he threw.
Oh, that game, they should have won that game. If we had the San Diego State we have, as a team right now playing that team, that would have been a win up there. Yeah. It would have been a win.
And most of these guys are juniors. So, I mean, if they come back, I mean, there's a couple of guys I hear are not going to be coming back next year. They're going to go into the NFL draft. But Pumphrey says he's coming back. I think Calvin Munson might be coming back as well.
Awesome.
It's a bright future. And like I said, the defense has. There's been games where the San Jose State running back was one of the best running backs in the league, in the nation. Nevada had one of the best running games in the nation. I mean, Nevada had negative yards through half this game in running.
So it's impressive, very impressive.
Yeah, you look at Air Force is running 300 yards a game almost because the triple options what they do.
Yeah,
right.
Good luck.
I wouldn't be surprised if the defense comes in and stops them too. I mean, they've stopped everybody else who's been in quote unquote awesome running team.
Yeah.
Now they win. They win this Saturday. When they win this Saturday, bowl game. They're bowl eligible. They're going to go to a bowl game. Any idea which one we're going to qualify for? I mean, I'm not going to hold you to it, but Justin and I were talking about it before the game. It's going to be.
I was saying I had 3 tiers of bowl games. You have your big ones, the Rose Bowl, and then the Fiesta Bowl. Okay, that's top tier. We're not in that top. I think we're in the mid-range bowl games. We're not in the Poinsettia Bowl. The Holiday Bowl is a step up from the Poinsettia, but you don't want to go to the Holiday Bowl. You live here. You want to go to a bit decent size against a Big 12 team or maybe a big-time ACC school. You want to play maybe even a lower tier SEC school,
like the Nutella Bowl, or
maybe a crappy 5-win SEC school. who knows? I would love to see that.
What's your thoughts, Mikey? Do you think that they're going to get to a recognizable bowl game, or do you think it's back to the Idaho Potato Bowl for us?
Well, that's the problem. I don't know if you guys heard. The Mountain West gave up their rights to the Las Vegas Bowl, which pays the best out of their affiliated bowls to BYU, because Las Vegas Bowl wanted BYU because it's playing probably Cal. Yeah. So that sucks for the Aztecs. But the kicker is, if Kansas State, which is 4-7, if they lose to, I want to say I can't remember who it is. They're favored to lose. But if they lose, the Aztecs will be going to the Cactus Bowl.
Wow, in Arizona.
That's a real
That's
bowl.
Sun Devil Stadium, right?
That's a real bowl that I remember hearing about when I was a kid.
Wow.
It's not one of these made-up new bowls.
Wow.
January 2nd, I believe, is that game is played, so a January bowl.
Wow.
So that would be, that one pays, I think they would pay the Aztecs $3.3 million to play that game, and we might opt to go to Josh's house.
Wow, you mean they wouldn't be playing in the microwave.com.org.gov bowl?
Well, for right now, we'd have to go to Josh's friend's house.
Yeah, he doesn't have his own place. He lives in a van down by the river.
Josh, if you're listening, you got to January 2nd to get a house.
Yeah, get your shit together, Josh.
What's wrong with you, Josh? Yeah. What is this?
Slacker?
Start
closing on that property now.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so that's the kicker. But if not, you're going to get stuck with like the Hawaii Bowl.
See, that would be dreadful because that would just ruin your whole season because nobody even goes to Hawaii to watch these games. Nobody does.
No.
You get a select few fans. That would be a shame. That would be terrible. A Cactus Bowl would be awesome.
Cactus Bowl.
I might even make the drive to go out there.
People can road trip to that.
Dude, that would be fun.
Yeah, do a road trip to that.
Oh my God!
January 2nd, so it gives you some time to plan your schedule around that. And then, January 2nd, most of us are just not working anyway. But like I said. If Kansas State, and I'm looking it up right now because I want to know.
Is that a done deal, by the way? If Kansas State loses and the Aztecs win, is that Cactus Bowl a done deal, or will we have to wait to find out?
We'll have to wait a little bit, but I did read today that the representative of the Cactus Bowl says that for the Kansas State to go to that bowl, they would have to be 6-6. I think they're 5-6. They'd have to be 6-6. And if there's not enough bowl teams that are 6-6 to make all the bowls,
they're
going to take the top like APR 5-7 teams, which Kansas State's one of them. But that's what I'm saying. If they can't get to that 6th win, it's against West Virginia, by the way. This weekend, if they can't get that 6th win, the bowl representative did come out and say that they will look at the Mountain West because the Mountain West is the other affiliated conference if there's no available team.
If that doesn't work out, they can make one up for you, High on the Pot Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah,
and you can be the representative for it, which is High on the Pot Bowl.
It'll be a toilet bowl, really.
Yeah, and it'll be in like that'll be in like Utah somewhere where they smoke a lot of weed.
Yeah. Denver.
Right on, man. Well, hey, Mikey, as always, I'm glad we got some of that covered because it's exciting times here in San Diego for our college football teams. Maybe that sheds a light on something. Our pro teams, it's fun to watch, but you got real college prosperity going on here. You got
some success.
You got your basketball team who's nationally prominent, and they get a lot of intel, and you got our football program that's doing wondrous things. And buddy, it's always glad to have you on. I hope your holiday season is going great and your family's good, and I can't wait to have you on next week.
Thank you, man. And let me know about this weekend. We'll catch up and we'll have some adult beverages.
Yeah, for sure.
And
while the adults supervise us. We'll have other adults supervise us. That'd be cool.
Exactly.
Right on, man. Hey, can't wait to talk about more Aztec wins in the future, bro. We'll get a hold of you.
Sounds good, guys. Have a good one.
All right, buddy.
Mike. All right. See ya.
I'll tell you what, I really like Mike calling in on the. I'm so happy that he's still part of.
Told you it's a reunion
doing,
tour, bro. This is the reunion tour. Nobody even had to pay for this tour.
We know how much he loves the Aztecs. I know it's really hard to get him to say he's disappointed in something. About the Aztecs, but
he's such a fan.
Right.
It hurts his heart to say stuff like. I mean, I'm pretty real with everything, as far as.
Well, that's because you're a hater.
Well, you call me. I am what I am, but I am pretty real about. I either don't like it sucks, or it's not. I'm very cut and dry.
We had the reunion show, but now we're back to Pasta Patty and the Hater.
Oh, I love Pasta Patty and the Hater. This is great, dude. So
great. I think we'll wrap everything up.
Yeah,
I know we have a lot of Padres stuff we want to get to, but I don't want to get to it now. I don't want to
bleed it out.
Yeah,
I mean, we could talk Padres for
right. We're have lots of time for that.
We have 162 games.
Yeah, really quickly, Yonder Alonso, are you sad that he's gone?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I think it's like other guys in this town. It's welcomed move. It's a welcome trade.
Pomeranz, that lefty, is
he's
pretty good.
Very, very good. He had a solid year last year. I forget his record offhand, but solid pickup. Actually got 2 lefties in the deal.
Yeah.
You can see where Preller's going, hey, maybe I needed some lefties from last year. So very, very solid pickups, and Yonder should do well in Oakland.
One thing I want to note, it's very, very important that the Padres last season, I know that they actually lost more games than they lost before.
Right.
They really got everybody excited, and just to start dumping everybody.
Yeah, and they haven't yet.
They haven't.
No, not
would
the players
be a huge mistake because
they
got us all excited. So I hope that they don't. I hope they don't do that. Trav is in the chat room. Call on in, Trav. We'll talk some more Chargers with you too before we go.
Well, and we got the trade. Go ahead.
And real quickly, MLS. I did read that today, Mikey. We were talking about it.
It's possible. Yeah.
I would love to see MLS come to San Diego. One thing that's great about MLS is they have a national television. They have a national television deal
set up.
That's one thing that I've been really disappointed with the Gulls, because the only way you can really follow the Gulls, you can listen on the radio. Nobody listens on the radio.
Right.
You can't watch them on TV because they weren't able to work out a local deal, and it makes it very difficult for people like me to follow them. And I was so excited the Gulls were coming back. I haven't been able to follow them. The San Diego gets an MLS team. It's something that you can really follow. You can go to the games, but you can follow them and watch them on TV.
They'll be on
too.
local. Yeah, I love having the Gulls here. I've heard nothing but good things. So
I would love. Yeah, you're right. The market is set up for an MLS team. I hope that they don't. If they're going to do it, I hope they don't drag their feet. If they're going to do it,
do it.
And Trav, we're waiting for you, buddy. Call in.
A lot of soccer fans too in this area.
There is a lot of soccer, and we have. They talk about the market for San Diego for football is. The reason why they say it's not good is because we're down in the corner.
Please call it soccer,
and we can
don't call it football.
No, I'm talking about actual football.
Oh, gotcha.
The actual football market is not as good in San Diego because we're down in the corner. So you have one side of us is ocean, you have one side of us is another country. So we can really only draw from the east and the north.
Right.
Soccer, though, it expands down on the other side of the border. We actually have an extra direction to draw.
And Supercharged brings up a good point, but they have the Cholos there too.
Yeah.
And they liked their Cholos. They've really gained a great fan base in their last 5 years, I think. So
I agree, but I think that we would get some of that as well.
Yeah, maybe
for an MLS team.
I would go to a few games, like I would go to a few Gulls games.
When they have those exhibition games at Qualcomm Stadium, you ever try driving anywhere around there? It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's an absolute mess.
But
so
I got some music rolling. You want to play it?
Yeah, I want to wait for Trav one more.
Oh, is Trav
couple more minutes.
Calling?
619-866-4567. If you're still there, Trav.
I think maybe he tried calling in with Mikey. He was still.
I didn't see any
missed call.
I didn't see any.
Maybe you dialed the wrong number.
619-866-4567.
Yeah.
I know that he was talking earlier in the chat room about.
We have more segments now though with phone calls. Like we have Josh, we have Jake, and now we have a segment with Mikey. So it's tough to get a call in now.
And the one thing that we are doing, and we've mentioned it the whole show, is we are trying to upgrade our equipment so we can do more. And
we will.
It
just takes time.
It would be awesome to be able to have Jake on there and maybe have somebody able to jump on and actually ask him a question. And that is in the future. That is something that we're going to be doing.
Patience is a virtue.
Yeah, we're still working on it.
We
like
are.
I said,
we'll be fine.
Limited funds and limited knowledge.
Yeah, we don't get a lot for this.
Yeah, we would get it. So, anyways, I do think we are going to go. Trav,
okay.
Looks like we lost him there.
It's all right. We had a great show, though. We covered a lot of things, and we'll dive deeper into that Padre talk and all that other jargon. But that's what we do, and thanks for joining the show tonight, guys.
Yeah, we had a great time. Thanks a lot for Jake. We had a bunch of action in the chat room. I saw a couple new names in there. Do you remember any? Because I want to mention them, and I don't remember their names.
Let me go back to the one. Chris was in there earlier.
Okay.
I hadn't seen him. He said he's been listening to our past 3 or 4 podcasts. He finally wanted to join in. So thank you, Chris, for joining us. Forget the last name on there, but join in every week, man. We're talking all things Padres, Aztecs, Chargers. We try to not bore everybody with certain things. That's why we split them up in segments so people can join at certain times and get their opinion out there. So again, thank you guys. It's been a great Wednesday show back from Thanksgiving.
Yep. We look forward to hearing from everybody Sunday morning. We're going to be doing 9 o'clock to 10. Chargers versus the Broncos. Going to try and, like Jake said, we're going to try and build a winning streak.
Let's try it.
And then, of course, we'll be back with you each and every Wednesday. Thanks a lot for everybody's participation. Thanks in the chat room. Next week, we will try to have more of a phone segment.
Yep.
One thing that you probably is very obvious, we don't set up and prep and say we're going to do this. We turn on the show and it goes where it goes.
Yeah.
So
just like our interviews with Jake, it goes all over the place.
It goes all over the place. So we do what we do. We'll try and open up the phones next time. Thanks everybody for joining us. We look forward to you. We're the San Diego Sports Junkies, the show for the fans,
by the fans,
and we are out.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans by the fans. Brought to you by Cali Comfort, home of the low and slow barbecue, and SK Digital Imaging with Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, Jason Eidsmoe, and Mike Maciejewski. Subscribe to us on iHeartRadio, on Spreaker, and on iTunes. Visit SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com for all your Chargers, Padres, and Aztecs news.